Good evening and welcome to the 2016 Aldermanic Forum featuring Racine Taxpayers Association and Racine County I. I'd like to welcome our guests, I'd like to welcome our audience and our videographer. Thank you very much for everyone for coming tonight. We should try to fit this within about an hour. Unfortunately, Ms. Laren was not able to attend tonight. She was going to be out of town. So we have our space there for her because each one of these is a contested race. We're going to start out with our opening comments. We're going to go, allow you to introduce yourself, and we'll start right here with Mr. Peterson.
I'm assuming I sit down, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Peterson. I am a lifetime resident, City of Racine, recently retired firefighter. I have always wanted to get involved in local politics, although I don't like calling it politics too much. It's called public service. My dad was an alderman and common council president a number of years ago, as well as a county board supervisor. I was not able to be an alderman while I was a fireman. So when the position, when I decided to retire, as of January 31st, I retired. I decided this was the time I wanted to throw my hat in there and see if I could become involved in politics. I love my city, born and raised here. I plan on spending my retirement years here. I know Sandy fairly well, not well, but I know her fairly well, and I'm not running against Sandy, I'm just running for myself. I don't have anything against Sandy, she's a very nice lady and done the district well. She's my alderman, so it's the only one I could run against.
Sandy, right here.
First, I want to be sure the microphone's on. It's red. Should it be red or should it be green?
I think it should be green.
It should be green? So can Jeff start all over again?
No thanks, I'm done.
Okay.
You picked it up.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Taxpayer Association for inviting us all here to introduce ourselves again, and thank you everyone who's come out tonight to hear us speak. My name is Sandy Widener. I've served as the Alderman of the 6th District since April of 2000. Would like to continue to serve my district, serve my city as I have for the last 16 years. It's something I'm very passionate about. I love representing the residents of the 6th District, including my new friend over here, Jeff Peterson. And that's pretty much it.
Bobby Anderson.
Thank you. My name is Bobby Anderson, Robert Anderson, as it shows up elsewhere. I get called Robert when I'm getting yelled at, I guess. I'm a former two-term alderman of the 2nd District. I used to live on College Avenue years back, moved out, came back to the 2nd District 16 years ago. I enjoyed serving on the council. I left several years back because we had some family issues and the life issues with my in-laws. And I was starting my own business, but since then I've retired and I miss serving, and I wanted to get back involved again, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm there again. I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the position, and I'm just trying to get involved again, and in whatever capacity available, I will stay involved. Thank you.
And Ms. Molly Jones.
Hi, thank you much for inviting me. I am Molly Jones. I am the Alderman of the 2nd District. I've been the Alderman since August 2015 when I was appointed by the council. I've lived in the district for over 45 years now. Raised my children there, have gone to school. I'm a retired administrative assistant from CNH. Also retired from Boston Store as a sales associate. I got into the automatic position because I wanted to serve and kind of give back to the community, of which I love, because, like I said, I've been there for over 45 years. My children went to school there, and I feel I could serve all of the residents in the area, and that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. And Mr. John Duck.
My name is John Dunk. This is my first time running for anything publicly. I'm a director of our local tavern league. I've held positions in old jobs that required some popularity, I guess. I run a business, John Stock. It's at 303 Dodge Street. It's in my district. I've been there for nearly 7 years. We started nearly 7 years ago, July 2nd. I'm extremely enthusiastic and interested in our area and in Racine. I have mistakenly told a lie about being a lifetime resident of Racine. The last 12 years until December, I lived in North Bay, which I considered, personally, I considered a neighborhood of Racine. We have no commerce or anything there, but I did move into our district in December, and I would just like to help improve things in my neighborhood and to help improve things in the city.
And thank you very much, John. The way we'll do our questioning will be, each person will be presented with the first question, and then we'll rotate around, and then as each of the next questions comes up, we will go to the next person in line. I'm going to start out with Sandy, and the first question is, what do you believe a council member can do to help the city be pro-business? I didn't write that one.
What can the city do to be pro-business? Well, there's a lot we can do. We can put our money where our mouth is. We talk all the time about the city of Racine being pro-business, but I see time and again when businesses come forward and we throw a lot of hurdles in their way. I think we have to be more open to making changes when that's necessary. An example would be all the discussion that's taken place back and forth over the last several months about the signage at the mall. Times are changing, signs change, advertising changes. We have to be more willing to be receptive to new ideas and make those kind of changes.
Thank you. And Anderson.
Thank you. One of the things I had mentioned, I think it was to in the Internal Times, was very, very similar. I don't know when our last time our zoning laws were reviewed, but they do seem to be getting in our way. I think they should be working for us and not against us. I don't know when they were reviewed last, but I think they should be looked over to make sure that they're actually in line with what our goals are and being as business friendly as possible, because it seems like they stand in the way too often lately on small picky details, and it doesn't seem to be helpful in any way or capacity. And I think if we can make the city more friendly towards just people friendly, so that the community has a strong work base. You know, the companies aren't looking for people to draw from. They have a work base with which to draw from. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Jones, your thoughts?
Hi. Just to kind of expand on what Sandy said, I think we need to keep an open mind when we're discussing with business that are trying to come into the city, and not just make up your mind whether they good fit or what. Wait until you hear all the information that they have to present, and perhaps, if necessary, kind of extend the hand a little bit further, because we do need the jobs to help Racine continue to grow. And I would just say keep our minds open, and if we need to look at, as Mr. Anderson says, some of the laws that would prevent a business from starting up, then we need to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Jones, you are a businessman in town.
I'm the what?
You are a businessman in town. Your thoughts, sir?
You know, I'm looking to represent a neighborhood that has the highest unemployment rate in the city and the highest poverty rate in the city. And we need jobs for people that want to work. And we're pushing businesses away from Racine in several examples, including the CBS controversy, which still isn't settled because they've probably lost interest in us. And these jobs move to a half a mile out from where they want to be, and they get the benefit of the tax base and the rest of it. We need to be more business friendly. Even running my business, the city often feels like it's not wanting businesses to be successful. And we run a clean business. By me, and most people run a clean business. We just need to make it a little more friendly and try to find a way to encourage more people to come here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Gibson, sir?
Yes, I think probably I would look at this in a twofold way. One being adjusting or changing any policy that may be considered business unfriendly, as well as when we're looking for a new city administrator. I believe Mr. Friedel will be gone in a year or two. Maybe look at somebody with a business background somebody who's a little more business savvy, a little more connected to the business community, that may have a little more insight as to how we could work better with the prospective businesses that want to move here.
Thank you. And our next question will go to you, Mr. Anderson, first. And that question is, our city's unemployment rate has remained high in comparison to our neighboring cities. What would you say are the top reasons for the city's lagging employment? And solutions, perhaps?
Top reasons. Well, that's I'm not sure the top reasons. We've been working hard. I know the mayor's worked hard with developing different sites for them. Industry, quite possibly our tax base has been proven to be higher than the surrounding areas. Our access to the interstate has hurt. That's been a complaint by businesses, whereas Pleasant Prairie is right at the interstate. That's helped them. If there's a way to develop a corridor for better trucking traffic that can get into our older industrial section of town, that would help greatly. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, the cost of that would be astronomical, but that's one thing on the list, and it's a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Jones?
I think a loss of our manufacturing jobs is one of the reasons that our job declined so much in the city. And it's my hope, I know we aren't going to get those manufacturing jobs back, but I would hope that we'd be able to start or help start small businesses that would be able to employ people to gainfully have access, and then they may be able to purchase homes and everything else if they have a job. And we also need some place for the job training for the individuals that maybe are unskilled, maybe didn't complete college, so they lack the skill with today's technology in order to get jobs that are out there already.
Thank you. John Dodd?
The answer to this question was really in the first question. And a lot of it is that we really just need to promote and bring businesses in. We don't need another JI case. We don't need another Modine manufacturer. But if we had another 10 people that hired 20 people in their places, that's 200 people working that weren't working. And those 200 people would push another 10 jobs into the community because they're buying groceries, and they're buying gasoline, and they're going out to dinner once in a while, and they're shopping downtown, and they're going wherever they need to. We need to start it small. We have a city now that is one of our, I believe it's our largest landowner in the city, is the city. And we have a lot of developable places. We need to help people get into those developments and give them some incentives so they can come in and bring us jobs.
Thank you. And Jeff Peterson, sir?
I don't think there's going to be any easy answers for this big manufacturing. I do not see that coming back anytime soon. So it's got to be through small job growth and education. Unfortunately, our city has a reputation, and once you get a reputation, it's hard to get by that. I would like to see the city work a little harder in conjunction with Unified, as well as with their academies, but we have a lot of fantastic community centers. And I would rather see them be a combination community center and education centers. I don't know why Unified and the city can't get together on that. I mean, that is the place where you're really gonna get the hearts and minds of the kids that need the help. The only thing that's gonna change things is through owner occupancy as well. Getting people to want to live here, and you have to have nice neighborhoods. So, getting rid of dilapidated buildings, I would work hard on getting rid of dilapidated buildings and trying to improve home ownership and improve the education process.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Sandy White?
Thank you. Well, I think everyone at this table has had a great piece of the puzzle put together to address the lagging unemployment rate. The one piece that I would add, as I concur with everyone here, is that we need a better transportation system. There are lots of job opportunities that are going along I-94, Pleasant Prairie, Pleasant, and Sturtevant. We need access for people that live here to get to those jobs. I believe that something like 30% of the population here in Racine is now commuting to work. I know I commute to Milwaukee, not by choice, but because that's where the jobs are. And I'm fortunate enough to have a vehicle, but there's a lot of jobs outside of Racine that we just need available transportation for people to get to.
Thank you. And our next question is going to go to you, Molly Jones, and that would be, do you feel the city should borrow money to pay salaries and benefits, even when those salaries and benefits are involved with a capital improvement plan?
Borrow the money, you said?
Yes.
That's a tough question. I've got to say, if they borrow the money with the CIP plan and spread it out over time of paying it back, hopefully, I would say yes, because they still need to run the city. And you can't lay everyone off. So if the only way to keep employment is to borrow the money, I would say borrow it, but I would say strategically do it where it's a bare minimum of money that you would need to borrow. Keep it as low as possible so it would be easier to pay back.
Thank you.
Same question?
Same question to
Dang
you,
it.
Chuck.
It's a good question, and I think the question is too general. Capital improvements can cover a number of different things. And I think every improvement project should be reviewed to stand on its own. In some cases, there's things that you have to do, and you just have to do them, and you have to get it done. That's how it works. I run my business on borrowed money sometimes, but that's how it works. I think with strong review, you have to do what you have to do. I think you should try to minimize it, reading the budget and the money that we owe already, and the amount of taxes we charge just to maintain what we're doing now, just interest money. There's got to be a more effective way of reviewing it so you can borrow absolutely what you need and not what you don't need, just to make people comfortable.
All right, thank you. Any comments for you, Mr. Peterson, sir?
Do you have a specific instance that you're referring to, or?
I remember this was something about a year ago. It was something that was being put together, and some of the salaries were tied into that project.
I guess
I
I
don't
would need,
have a specific on it, I'm sorry.
CIP in general. I guess I need a little more specifics. In general, I would say that I'm against borrowing money for capital improvement projects without knowing the specifics, but I would be against it. I mean, I plan on running or acting as an alderman if I'm lucky enough, like I run my household. I make so much money, I spend so much money. And that's pretty much the way I view my role as an alderman at this time.
Thank you, sir. Sandy, why don't you probably have a little bit more illuminating to do for us here?
I wish I would have been asked that question first, because I'm probably the most knowledgeable about it. 2 years ago, the city started adding some of the benefits and wages of our public works and park staff. Whatever could be attributed to a project would be added to the CIP as a way to eliminate or to reduce some of our operating budget. As you know, the city budget is kind of like a balloon. We have operating, and then we have our debt. And because we are so limited in the operating budget that we can spend, we have to squeeze that, and we kind of push out what we are borrowing now. And we've included salary and benefits. I have been adamantly opposed. I voted against the last two budgets in a large part because, to me, adding salary and benefits to the debt is a slippery slope. So I am very opposed to that.
Thank you. And Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I have to agree with Sandy on that. I mean, if you're budgeting, you can't budget in, you can't borrow on things that should be budgeted for. And when you're borrowing money, just to bring up another point, borrowed money for us now is costing us a little bit more because of our bond rating has dropped. It hasn't dropped dramatically, and a lot of it's not the city's fault. A lot of that is the state's fault. As far as how we've gotten, but we should be working towards getting our city's rating back up too, so that on borrowed money, when we do have to borrow money, the interest rate is lower, it does cost us less. But otherwise, I agree with Sandy.
Thank you very much. And I believe this next question will be for you, Mr. Gunn. And it relates to the CVS pharmacy, which I shall hold on here. The Alderman for the 12th District, in which the CVS building proposal exists, supports the CVS expansion there And it says that he has the support of the constituents as well. Should other aldermen also support that proposal just on the 12th district's alderman testimony? This was a little too personal there, but the alderman is proposing it, is supporting it, people in the district support it. What are your thoughts, even though it would be in your district? This would be the one, by the way, for anyone unaware, is the intersection of Ohio and Washington Avenue, Highway 20. The proposal is to take down most of the buildings on the southeast corner and replace it with large CVS pharmacy.
You know, a lot of people don't work in the same district that they live in. I think that something that would change the CVS dynamics from where they are now, allow them an opportunity to hire 8 to 15 more people because it's a busy corner. Take a corner that's really an eyesore at this point. None of the people that own those properties are right here, right now. And move it from where it is. You know, we'll get an instant tax increase because they're going to build a $3 or $4 million building, which will help our city. They're going to hire more people because it's a better corner for them. And I think for me, there might be 3 people in my district that will end up working there. It's okay. I think it's something that we need, and that's how we should develop. Or they may end up on the other side of Highway 31, which doesn't help us at all. So,
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Peterson.
I believe I would lean heavily on the alderman. I believe that Mr. Perez, is that your district? It's been my experience at the few common councils I've been at, most aldermen generally respect the other aldermen's opinion that are representing that district. I would greatly take that into play. I wouldn't use that as my sole determining factor, but I would take it into play. This particular CVS deal where the city's been dealing with for some time now is, I don't know enough of the specifics to give a solid opinion on it. I can give you my personal feeling, not knowing all the specifics. I think as long as you're not using eminent domain to take people's property away, the people want to sell the property and the majority of the people want it, I think that's a positive. Those buildings on the corner, I think they're going to be vacant for a while. The old shrink shop, that's going to be vacant for a while. Anytime you got a chance to tear something down that's old and bring something in new that the majority of the residents are in favor of, I'm for it.
Thank you. And Sandy Rogers.
Thank you. I have supported CVS development since its inception, and somewhat because I tend to lean on the opinion of the alderman of the district, especially one that has been as thorough as the alderman of the 12th has been in gleaning the opinion of the people that would be most affected by that. And also, even though I knew that the CVS development on the corner of Ohio and Washington may mean losing the CVS that I've shopped at since it was Layton's 40 years ago, I still felt it was important for that corner, and I support it, and I continue to support it, and hope they decide to come back and throw their hat in the ring one more time.
Thank you. And Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't, I wasn't involved in all the details on this one, but it did give us kind of a black eye because it dragged out just far too long. People were just not decisive enough one way or another. But if I was involved in it and I still couldn't make my mind, let's say I just was at a area where I just couldn't make my mind one way or another, then I would defer to the opinion of the alderman of the district. But I think I could make up my mind on its own merits. But if it was a tie, in my mind, I would definitely defer to the opinion of the alderman of that district.
And Ms. Jones.
Hi. I would support the alderman of the district, but I also would still like to find out more information because I came in after the fact as well. It had already been voted on when I was appointed alderman. But if the alderman of the 12th district said that he had obtained signatures and authorization for the people in the district who wanted it, I would think he would be honest with that opinion, so I would support that.
Thank you very much. And I believe we go to the next question here with Mr. Peterson. And what strategies would you like the city to use to attract business to Racine? It just came from a meeting where there's a TIF district tie topic.
Right now, our main asset is and always will be the lake and the river. It appears that the river project is going forward, and that's an absolute positive. Other than, like we said, talked earlier about being business friendly, I think our main assets are the lake and the river, as well as most of the residents. We got a lot of good people in the city of Racine, and we got to let people know that, all the good people we have. So it's selling your positives and trying to work on your negatives.
Sandy Whitener.
Thank you. We already have implemented several business strategies that I think are very beneficial to the city of Racine. We have 12 active TID districts, well 11 and potentially 12. Those are very beneficial. I think one thing that we really have not focused on enough is we have several brownfields throughout the city. We have the Walker site, Jacobson site, several others, and we do rely on RCEDC, Racine County Economic Development Corporation, to kind of market those lots. I think if we focused on one rather than marketing them all and kind of put our eggs in one basket at a time, we may have a better opportunity of either selling or providing land and opportunity to a business that may want to come in. So I think there are some new strategies out there, and I think we need to apply some new ones.
Thank you. Bob Anderson.
Thanks. Just adding on to what Sandy said, being on the redevelopment authority, I agree with her. I couldn't agree more. We've got a lot of undeveloped sites, and we do need to focus on them more, and focusing on maybe one or two instead of spreading it out on several. That's why I hate to sound like I'm copying Sandy, but I couldn't agree more. And also, I think there's going to come a time when, and we should be promoting it, is that we do have an abundance of water, and industry will come to that conclusion someday. And I think they will realize that, and they will come on their own.
Molly Jones.
I kind of agree with what Sandy and Mr. Anderson has stated previously. And I'd just like to add that I would like to see some of the vacant areas maybe developed a grocery store, especially in the 2nd District. We don't have one over there. We don't have a pharmacy that's closed. We don't have a restaurant that's, mainly in the district. So opening up a business of that type would help our district as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. And John Docker.
I think that the target is that we need to recruit and bring people in. I don't think we can solely depend on the county to be our marketers. I think that we have a responsibility in our city to promote and to bring them in, because the county is doing a good job. They've brought people into our general area, but they haven't brought people into Racine. And we need to get people that are enthusiastic about the city. Maybe it's our mayor, maybe it's a group of our aldermen, maybe it's somebody who's an executive at a business, doing business in Racine, to go out and help get people in and tell them why they're still doing business in Racine, and why they're making money in Racine, and what they like about Racine. Because a pamphlet doesn't go very far. You need somebody to knock on the door and go and sell it. And that's how the whole world works. You gotta knock on some doors and sell it. We're all knocking on doors right now. You gotta go out and knock on doors and sell it. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. And Sandy Ryder, this question is for you. Is the city responsibility to solve the emergency shelter situation? As you know, we had quite a bit of an ordeal a winter ago over the church downtown, hosting a lot of people who were homeless, and it kind of created quite a problem, and both for the homeless people as well as for a lot of the businesses in our downtown community. What are your thoughts on that?
The question was, is it the city's responsibility to solve the homeless issue?
The emergency shelter situation.
I do believe that the city has a role regarding people that do not have a home. I think that we have to help organizations out there in any way we can, and we do have the resources to do that. We have the people that are willing to do it. We have the money through CDBG funds. We do have the desire. We've seen that in so many people that are committed to homeless and people that are less advantaged. So yes, I think the city does have a role, but I don't think it's something that belongs on the property tax payers here. It should come from the other resources that we have available to us, and that would be state and federal funding.
Thank you. Bob Anderson, sir.
Yeah, I think we can be a helping hand. I think we can help with organization. I think we can help sometimes with guiding people to the proper resources. I think we do have a health department that can direct people to the right places, putting people in touch with the right organizations, so forth and so on. But I don't think we should be developing homeless shelters on ours. I think that's done quite well in private organizations and church groups and so forth at this point. I think they're doing quite a good job.
Thank you. And Molly Jones.
Yes, I believe the city does have some responsibility to help with homeless people because it would give us a really bad light name if someone were to freeze to death on the street when they could have maybe had a shelter in a church or a storefront or something like that. So I believe we could help with the homeless in those very bad winter months when they don't have any place else to stay.
Thank you. And John.
This is an age-old question. You know, when we were kids, most of us here, you know, we had family units that took care of us if you were down and out. And we don't have family units like that anymore. So we do have a responsibility to help provide something to get people off. The challenge is, and we've all heard this a million times, the challenge is giving people a hand up, not a handout, and trying to help them get out of that situation. And that goes back to the things we've talked about and probably will still talk about today, education and you know, some homeless people want to be homeless. That's just how it goes. Other people are stuck, and if we can help them get an opportunity, we can eliminate part of the problem just by training and giving them an opportunity.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Davis.
Yes, unfortunately, it's a terrible problem, and one that the city has to deal with. You can't ignore it as a city alderman or city manager. You can't ignore it. You have to be part of the problem. Do I want taxpayer dollars going towards it? No. But a lot of the individuals that are homeless they're there as a result of lack of job, and unfortunately, a lot of them have mental health issues. So I think getting people to the right resources. I also believe, as many of them said, there are a lot of churches and different civic organizations, civic-minded organizations that are more than willing to help, and the city can be a facilitator in that aspect. But yeah, it's definitely an issue that you can't ignore it as a city, and hope that somebody will take care of it. The city has to be involved in some shape or form.
Thank you. And next question for you, Mr. Anderson. I believe you mentioned the access to the freeway in one of your earlier comments or maybe your opening remarks. The 794 extension, just around that question, is going to be extended from down to Ryan Road over the course of the next 5 years. Caledonia right now has it in their bailiwick, and they're trying to figure out where they're going to send 794 over the next decade or two down towards and through Racine County at some point. We have many opportunities to reach out to them. I know that our mayor has not historically reached out to them and said, hey, here's a really great idea. At the moment, there is not a single street that goes north and south through the city of Racine. 794's extension could run right down Memorial Drive. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much for putting me on the State Highway Commission.
It doesn't pay anymore.
Yeah. It needs to go somewhere. It doesn't sound like bad, you know, just off the top of my head, that doesn't sound like a bad place to put it. It's mainly, it's certainly not only an industrial corridor, but mainly an industrial corridor. It has room for expansion on both sides. I'd have to look at it closer. I mean, without studying it, it's just off the cuff, but it certainly sounds like a plausible idea.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on this, Jones?
Sounds like a wonderful idea for opening up the corridors into the city, both north and south. That would be a good thing, I believe.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you guys don't all have to be nice to me, say, because it's my question.
What else are you going to say?
It would be nice for you.
If it's good or bad.
We need to do something. The disappointing thing at this point is that we're not already in the conversation. You know, it's not something that we should wait until it's our turn. We should help determine when our turn is and what we're going to do with it. The Memorial Drive corridor might be the spot. It might be closer to Highway 31. It could cut across almost anywhere in the city. We do need it we do need it in the city, but it doesn't have to be somewhere. But we need to be involved in things that help us plan our city way in advance. Having good drinking water in the lakefront isn't really enough. So we need to do something. We need to be proactive about it.
Thank you very much for your comments. Mr. Peterson.
I believe anytime you can bring that type of traffic through the city, it's a positive. Like Mr. Anderson said, a great deal of that, not all of it, but a great deal of that is industrial. You have the old Racine Steel over there. That would be nice to clean that little alley up, and as well as a couple other little spots along that road. So, like I said, anytime you can bring traffic through the city, it's a positive. You know, so, and like I say, there's some blighted areas on Memorial that might put a shine to it. So, Jeff, don't know that it's going to come this far east, but it would be very nice if it did.
Thank you. Yeah, Sandy Alderman.
Well, Mr. Brown, on this issue, I think you're all wet.
Thank
I
you.
think Memorial Drive is the wrong street for the north-south thoroughfare. I think we should consider Northwestern Avenue. I think we should consider Douglas Avenue, even Main Street. But if you recall, Memorial Drive dead ends into Gould Street, so we would have a little break there. So I don't really think you're all wet. It's just joking. The council did have a presentation from Sewer PAC about a month back, and there were several streets that were considered Highway 11, Highway 20, K into Northwestern Avenue to get traffic from I-94 into the city of Racine. This is being looked at. We have to be much more strenuous in seeking a solution, because I think we're going to be bypassed if we keep, putting that on the back burner. I think getting access to the city should be one of our top priorities.
Thank you very much for your comments, Alderman, and for hearing my question. Should Alderman change, let's see who I'm at Molly Jones.
Should Alderman change the committee of the whole procedure so that they can speak twice, more than twice, on questions that come before them? Right now, they're limited to 2 questions.
Correct.
That's committee of the whole. Should that be changed so that they can speak more than twice?
Okay.
Now it's my turn.
No, yes, Ms. Jones.
Okay. Twice, I believe, maybe 3-4 times. I don't think you'd need much more than that. Because sometimes when the question was, should they change it from twice? I said yes, maybe 3 or 4. Sometimes you can ask the question and someone else would reply that poses another question. Well, if you may ask that one and then someone else may speak, and all of a sudden you may have another one, but your term is limited then to 2. So you don't have an opportunity, and maybe it would help you make a better decision when it should, comes time to vote on something. You would have to ask that question. If no one else asked it, then you would be left with the question that you would have. So I think more than 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chuck.
I think in fairness to everybody there and the information that comes out of the asking questions, there should be more opportunities. In businesses where I've sat on the board for different items, there's a time for general discussion. It still has to be controlled with some sort of a time limit. You don't need a filibuster in whether or not you're going to put a parking meter on State Street. However, there should be room for ample discussion, because everybody does have an opinion. And some people have a very good point, and you don't want to miss that.
Thank you. And Mr. Peterson.
Get a little clarification.
Sure, no, not at all.
Procedure. Anytime, I'm all for more dialogue. So I guess I would be in favor of changing that at this point, but being that I'm not sitting on the council and I haven't been to a number of council meetings, it's hard for me to say. I'm sure if I'm fortunate enough to get elected and I hear somebody babbling on 4 or 5, 6 times, I might say, bring it back to 2. I don't know. So, but like asking Sandy, I said, things from the committee of the whole then go to the common council where they get to speak on it again. So at this point, I'm all for open dialogue, and if the majority of the members of the common council feel we need more dialogue and discussion, to kind of leave it up to the common council members. They're the ones sitting there and got to listen to it.
Thank you, sir. And Sandy Wagner.
Thank you. I just want to clarify for people that don't really understand it. The common council and the committee of the whole are the same thing. But the committee of the whole is a more informal council meeting where I think the business of the council takes place before it goes to the council. And I look at the business that takes place at the committee of the whole to be like a standing committee. And I also look at it as being like a volleyball game. It's where you have the dialogue that goes back and forth, where you really can understand the issues that are before you. And I think the common council members in the committee of the whole, like standing committees, need to take every opportunity that they can take to fully understand any issue that's before them, so that when they ultimately vote, they're very comfortable in the fact that they know exactly what is at stake. So I think, yes, in the committee of the whole, Alderman should be able to speak more than 2 times.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there should be unlimited questions. You should be able to ask as many as you want and as often as you want. I think the council president, although I think he should have the right to reserve being able to call an end to the discussion if it does seem to be getting out of hand.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Cup, the next question goes to you, sir. The Racine Development Authority acquired the downtown Lake Avenue property from J.I. Case, which was previously owned by the gas company. Was that a good move for the city taxpayers?
So far or eventually?
That's a question, sir.
So far, probably not. Eventually, I would imagine it would be. It's a primary piece of real estate. It's all how we develop it. If we put in additional parking that downtown needs, that might be a benefit. If we put in a grocery store that downtown needs, it might be a benefit. There's a lot of things we can do with a piece of property like that that would certainly be a benefit. At this moment, as they were cleaning up the site the last two summers, my restaurant smells really bad when they're working. So at the time, no, not particularly to me, but I think it's a good piece of property as long as we develop it correctly.
Very good. And your thoughts, Mr. Peterson?
I wasn't present or not sure of the details and what all the expenses are. I believe there was a few $1 million involved. But I think the city has to be proactive. You're going to have some winners, you're going to have some losers. Hopefully this turns out to be a winner. It's a fantastic property. If the lake continues to get developed, if the river continues to get developed, I'm sure it'll end up being a positive development. Anything that sits empty does not look like a positive or a positive investment. I believe in time it will be. So I guess it depends on the time, I guess.
Thank you, sir. And Mrs. Sandy Wagner.
Now that is really a tough question. The city of Racine is acquiring so much property and we're not divesting ourselves of any of it. And that's why I had mentioned earlier that if we maybe put our eggs in all one basket and started marketing one piece of property at a time, and maybe the old We Energies would be the one to do it. I don't know, but was it a good thing that we acquired that property? I think we got it for $1, and then we got all kinds of grant money to remediate the soil. Would a private developer have come in and done it? Probably not, and that's really why the city keeps acquiring all the property that we have. But at some point, we have to start marketing and divesting ourselves of some of the properties that we have.
Thank you. And Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Well, I was involved in the acquisition of this one, so I guess I can't speak against it. I would like to point out that this one is a 6-acre parcel in the heart of downtown, and we couldn't turn our back on it. We Energies did come to us, and they wanted to give it to us for, I think, $170,000, and just forgiven their back taxes. And the city was ready to grab that, and we said, wait a minute, because I remember when I was a kid, I don't know how many people you here are old enough to remember what went on that site, but there was some heavy oil refinery, and we were taking gas out of coal at the time. And so we looked at it again, and we made sure that the city we got a good attorney on it, and it turned out to be quite a pit bull. And he got We Energies to agree to remediate the site before we took acquisition to us. And that cost We Energies $6 million. If we had just taken that site, we would have been on the hook for that amount of money.
Thank you, that was very informative, appreciate that. And Alderman Jones?
Well, it's a difficult question because it could turn out to be a very good project, a good deal, so to speak. Hopefully they will get enough development in it that it will become flourishing and help with the downtown redevelopment.
Very good. And our final question is going to go to you, Mr. Peterson. Would you support the Waukesha, would you support allowing Waukesha to flow their water in the Root River if it came before the city council?
No. For a couple reasons. One, water being our only asset, and I'm not for selling our water, or am I for having the water come our direction? And I'm also not for anything going outside the Great Lakes Basin. I'm hoping if it gets through our state, I'm hoping one of the governors from the Great Lakes Association that has the veto power vetoes it. I'm all for hoarding our water. That's one of our only assets we got, and I don't want to give it to anybody. Or don't want to take it. Take the.
You've elaborated the question, and I think in a good way. Feel free to pounce on that if you'd like, Mr. Becker.
The question was, am I for or against the Waukesha's application for water?
I believe it was actually more about wherever Waukesha happens to get their water from, there's a proposal that they would clean and then they would use the Root River for their outflow. We may also have the opportunity to, again, be presented with the chance to sell the water, but I don't know if that's off the table entirely myself.
Well, I don't think we're going to have the opportunity to sell that water. The only way we would get their treated water is if they get water from Lake Michigan, which they're currently not. I can't say that I'm either for it or against it because I don't have enough information. I think this question is a result of a request that I put into the Common Council to get to receive a presentation from the DNR and Sewer PAC in regards to Waukesha's application. The City Council has had zero information regarding that application or what it would mean if that application is approved and with no voice in the matter if water is diverted down Root River. So I wanted to have that information. And until I have that information, I can't not say if I'm for or against it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. The water coming down the Root River is not a subject that I've ever come before the council, but having said that, I'm totally prejudiced. I don't want to give Waukesha any water because all we're doing is shipping jobs to Waukesha. I want those jobs to come to Racine. I want our water to produce jobs here in town.
Thank you. And Ms. Jones?
Right now, I would say no.
Care to elaborate?
Basically, it's maybe what Mr. Anderson said. I would rather have, I think if you allowed them to do that, you would have more of our jobs going out of the city, and we need more in the city for our unemployment, because we have a very high unemployment rate. So anything that will help keep our jobs here in Racine, I'm for it.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Jones?
I really don't have enough knowledge about it. I think Ms. Widener's answer with getting more information would help tremendously. The quality of the water that goes into the river would be of optimum interest to me before we even considered it. We struggle a little bit in our river already, and if it would change the quality, that would be horrible for us. And there goes our lakefront opportunities as well. I just think we need a lot more information before we can make a decision like that.
Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll have a closing remarks. I usually reverse the order. We'll start with Mr. Dunn first. Your closing remarks. Take up to a minute.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for inviting me here. I hope if anybody knows anybody in my district, you like me enough to raise your hand or hit the ballot the right way next Tuesday. We have a lot of challenges. We have a city where it's not what it used to be, And some of it's our fault in leadership, and some of it's our fault in manufacturing going away, or it's their fault. There's a lot of different things, but we need to get our arms around it, because we need to have a vibrant economy with taxpayers and people here and people working, because that will help us in every way in our city. It'll help us continue our services at the top of the level, it'll help us keep our schools at the top of the level, and it'll make this a more appealing place for other people to come and enjoy their lives. That's it.
Thank you. Molly Jones.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me for your forum this afternoon. And I would just like to encourage everyone here, if they know anyone in the 2nd District, to vote Molly Jones on April 5th. And I would just like to continue this post to serve and to help with the revitalization of the 2nd District. I held a forum back in December with WIBIC to help create small business, and hopefully I would be able to help with the cleanup efforts over in some of the areas that need it. Johnson Wax is doing a great revitalization to their building right down the street from where I live, and hopefully I will be able to keep our revitalization efforts going in the district.
Thank you, and Mr. Henderson.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I just like to say thank you very much for inviting me tonight. It's the last minute kind of a thing, but I would encourage you to vote for me. I like to serve. I think I've served well in the past. I will serve well in the future. I've got the experience. I think experience matters. I don't think I can hit the ground running. You don't need to train me. There's no learning curve. I like to serve, and I would like to continue serving in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sandy White.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I think this is the first forum I've ever participated in, and I actually kind of like it. I want to say that the 6th District is a special place, and because it is so special, it is in a special place right now. Right now, there are 2 candidates running for the 6th District that either one will serve the district well. I hope the choice is me, but if not, I'm sure it's going to be turned over into good hands. Last 16 years has been a passion of mine. I can't see that going away anytime soon. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Sandy, and Joe Peterson.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come speak. It's been very informative for me, as well as hopefully someone in the audience. Like I said, I started this quest or venture because I love my city. Born, raised here, I'm going to spend the rest of my life here. And I was a public servant as a firefighter for 28 years, and I want to continue my public service as an alderman. I want to be part of the solution. I want to be able to help my neighbors out. I want to be able to tell them that I'm fighting for them. I'm fighting for the city, and I want to make our community a better and safer place to live. Other than that, like Sandy said, regardless of who wins, I think the 6th District is going to be pretty well represented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of Racine County IR Partners, Racine Taxpayers Association, we'd like to thank you all very much for coming tonight. Thank you for your answers and addressing each of the questions that we brought forward to you. A round of applause, please.